Yeah. Thursday night, y'all. What is going on? We are back. Big shout out to the big man, Chub Rock, as we treat him right tonight. Going to talk a little victory beer, talk a little beer news. We're down to man. Shout out to Eric. Eric's Beer Reviews. Eric, a Lions fan. He's actually over in the UK doing a little work thing. And we thought we had a substitute, which would have been Craig from Kent Beer Reviews, who actually lives in the UK. Imagine that. But Craig was not able to join us tonight as well. So big shout out to Kent Beer Reviews. Also, a little bit later of a start tonight, so I apologize there. I've been all over the place running around. Imagine this. We got another new brewery in Cincinnati. So I went to a meeting tonight for Esoteric Brewing. They'll be launching here probably in 2019. Provided some good details and information about the new brewery and was able to check them out some and get a pretty good lowdown on what they're actually going to be offering. So this is going to be a nice little addition, I think, to the city. So looking forward to seeing what they're going to do. And they're in the heart right now because guess what? Half their brews are Belgian, baby. They're going to have 8 taps kicking off. And 4 will be the Belgian, the single, the double, the quad, the triple. Oh, I was like, oh. Thank you.
That deserves a yay.
So that works out well. But here with the other part of the crew, of course, we got Joe back and we've got Todd here. So what's up, guys? What are you guys doing tonight?
Not a whole lot.
Not much. Winding down the week, ready to drink a few brews.
Yeah.
Crazy ass busy week at work this week too.
Yeah, I've had a pretty much crazy week. I was telling these guys, for you people out there watching, I've been running all day, and then I had to go to that. Then I had to run and grab something to eat on the way here, so that's why I pushed it back a little bit. But definitely ready for the brews, as you can see here. The 2 victory that I'm going to have tonight, to start out the night at least, are the Prima Pills, because that baby will go down really quick and real easy, and the Hop Devil IPA. So those are the 2 I've got from victory. I don't know what you guys may have picked up there.
What do you got, Todd? Todd?
Don't be shy. Either one.
12-ounce bottle of a cask.
Oh, boy.
And I also picked up the Mighty Things Imperial IPA.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I hadn't either. That's what I was actually going to get one of the Hot Devils like you got, but I saw that one. I was like, try it.
I had the Mighty Things last Wednesday at a bottle share at a local bottle shop. I didn't even know that beer existed either. It was it reminded me of like an old school West Coast kind of style IPA. It's pretty solid. Curious to see what you think. I'm rocking the same thing Todd is, although because my cellar is so extensive and stupid. Stupid in a stupid way. I'm drinking the Java Cast with the original release in the 750 cork and cage, which I already opened it up. This was actually given to me by a friend of ours, Paul from PA Brews, a couple years ago. I think this is a 2015 vintage because the only date on the bottle, guys, I could find, it says enjoy by November 10th of 2016. Which I think that means is probably bottled in November of 2016, probably the 10th. So this is over 2 years old, and I've drank a decent amount of it so far. And it is, as the youngins would say, fire. It is pretty good. It's I didn't have this fresh. I didn't buy a new bottle of it, but this is like all tons of fudgy chocolate and vanilla and bourbon, and the coffee, as you'd expect after a couple years, is kind of dissipated. But man, is it freaking good. This at 14.3%. It's definitely boozy, but it doesn't drink as much. And I'd imagine age plays a role, which is why I'd like to see what Todd thinks of the fresh bottle. Is that still 14.3%, Todd?
Yes. 14.3. And it doesn't give the IBUs, but on October 25th of 17.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see what you think, but aged a couple years. It says enjoy by November 10th of 2016. So I'm rebelling it up here and drinking it a year after they say to, but it's fine. Trust me. It's not infected. I can still taste the coffee. Nobody's getting hurt. Everything's okay.
You'll have to drain for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's all right so far. And then out in the gallery, shout out to Craig, Camp Beer Reviews, says hello. Tim from Tim's Brew says, what's up? We got Drunken One, hey gang. And we got Greg. What does he put? Billowag? What is that? What is that like?
No, it's Bylog. His last name is kind of similar to that. He's Polish as Polish can be. You can tell whenever you listen to him talk. But
he's questioning your shaving habits there. So
yeah, he's asking about if I'm clean shaven everywhere, and I'm not going to tell you, Greg, because I know you really want to know.
And Bum, we're not going that Victor. Oh, well, Drunken One says weird mental picture. Thanks, as he's going back to Greg.
That's on you, Drunken One. If you have a weird mental picture of me at any point, that's on you, buddy.
And then Bum says, I have my favorite Victory SC. That's the same thing, right? So
appreciate the subtle showing, Bum.
We're not,
I like it.
We haven't done Babel's Point yet, have we?
Oh, we will, and we totally are not going to drink Victory SC.
We're going to drink the coconut Victory SC.
Oh, but you know what? If we do a Bass Point, I'm going to pick it up specifically for that show because it'll make, like, I don't need to buy any more beer. So that will be a perfect excuse to be like, I don't have any Bass Point in my cellar. I guess I'll have to go get the coconut Victory at sea.
It's so sweet. It's so good.
Maybe that toasted coconut is so pretty.
But, so I guess I'll go ahead and crack this open here. I was going to say, as far as I didn't really get a chance to research a lot of stuff on a lot of the beer news. And thanks to everybody, by the way. It seems like a lot of people are liking these little quickie beer news segments I'm doing. So appreciate the support everybody's provided on those. Seems like people are really liking that little 2-minute little spiel about some type of news type thing. So I'll get those rolling again. I was out of town the last few days, so just got back in and started getting some reviews. I got requests for people to get the reviews going as well. So
yeah, get it going.
Balance is like molten hops. You got to find that balance. So
listen, the attention span is perfect for those quickie beer reviews. People are like, I got 2 minutes to spare, 2.5. Oh my God, quickie beer news. Let's watch it.
And I'm
great idea.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And trying new things this Sunday. I'm actually going to be bringing in Greg Miner, who actually runs the Cold Brew podcast. He's out in Arizona. Him and his buddy, who's out in LA. And I went on their show a few times, so I'm bringing it and returning the favor. I'm going to have a hangout with him Sunday morning. That will be at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to run down on what he's doing in the beer world and stuff like that, and some of his feedback on things, and essentially turn the tables or let him run the tap. So there you go.
Let me ask you a question. You guys be drinking beer at 11 a.m. on a Sunday?
We'll probably have a beer. Well, you never heard of a breakfast stout?
I'm just saying, you guys, tailgate. The football's done.
What am I, Jesus here? Like I can't drink on a Sunday or something? Am I Moses?
I want to see somebody hammered at 11 a.m. That's all I want to see.
Dude, on Sundays here, we have places that do like $6 mimosas and all bottomless mimosas and all kinds of stuff. So,
jeez,
20-ounce Bloody Marys. We're not afraid to drink here, son.
No, you're not.
What are you going to say, Todd?
As I say, it'd be 11 for you, but it'd be what, like 9 o'clock for him?
8 o'clock, I think. I think he might be Pacific. Is it Pacific or is it Mountain? I can't remember.
I don't think they do
Arizona might only be 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think Arizona doesn't do the daylight savings.
Oh, yeah, they rejected just like parts of Indiana. Imagine that. Yeah. We would not do daylight savings time here, son. So that'll be interesting. Like I said, he's got a great podcast. They update it like I think once a week, usually on Thursday or Fridays. And he gives a lot of different shout outs like on Instagram and Twitter and some different things. So he's real good at capturing a lot of the beer stuff and real funny podcast. They interject. They do a lot of hip hop themed stuff on there too. So they interject a lot of the music in the background. It's usually a nice little hip hop feel too. And so that would be nice to kick it. But as far as beer news, one of the things I did see this week, and I'll share my screen, and Joe actually saw this as well because it came up in like one of the comment threads we're in. And I thought, well, it was kind of interesting. So this was like out of Nova Scotia, and it was one of the images or one of the breweries out there, the Hanging Oak beer can sparking a controversy. It was just a rerun of a story up there. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing, where these owners like race or anything like that or anything. I doubt they actually were, but it gets to the point that we talk about sometimes where you have that lack of diversity in the craft beer world. From a marketing standpoint, like if you were just to see a can there, you're thinking, well, Hanging Oak, and you see a noose hanging off a tree, most people aren't going to have a positive image usually associated with it, even if it's a landmark. If you're in Nova Scotia, it might mean something to you. But if you're putting marketing and distribution out there into the marketplace, it's something you should be aware of. Like somebody should have said, I don't know if we want to run with that idea or something. But a lot of people, I guess you could say when a lot of people look the same, they don't have any of their other things, that they've never been in a situation where maybe racism or something that was a thing they had to run into, then they would not actually be aware of it in their mind. And to the owners, to what they're saying, they're like, hey, if people are complaining about, we'll consider going to change it. We didn't think that was the case. We were doing it because all these different beers in the series represent various landmarks. So it was kind of an interesting thing. And, I talked with a lot of breweries. I told Joe and Todd earlier tonight, I was actually at a new brewery about to open here in Cincinnati. And it is something of a thing they talked about, having more of a diversity out there. And it's something that breweries should just be aware of. It just comes across and they're getting hit on social media about it, and they're trying to defend a position. But some things are just like, to an average person, like one of the guys commented on the Facebook page and he said, if I saw that, I would just automatically think it was something negative like that. Wouldn't even think about knowing the history of it. So just one of those things happen to see out there. So it's kind of interesting that they actually did it. Like you see down here, he said, well, it said if black people in the community are complaining, the brewery will make changes. But at the same point, do you have to have somebody really complain if other people are saying, that looks kind of not right? Maybe you want to go ahead and just listen to some of the people already that are kind of telling you that kind of stuff. So just an interesting thing. I don't know if you had any feedback, Joe, from when you saw it or anything like that.
I think I like to say the phrase common sense would dictate a lot. And I feel that should apply to this. It's like, look, if you are a consumer buying that can or looking at that can, there's nothing but negative connotations with that. It's not a lot of people know outside of Nova Scotia that is a landmark and that's what it's for. So for you to think that no one's going to have any issue, again, common sense would dictate that you step back from the situation and go, wow, that probably shouldn't be on a can. But a lot of people just, they don't care. Like all right, look, it's in our community, and this is this is part of our heritage, and this tree is a local landmark, blah blah blah. But it's like outside of that community, no one knows anything about that beer. And if you're posting it on social media and all over the internet, what do you expect in this day and age?
Right.
It's going to get out to people who don't know that landmark. They associate that picture as something heinous and terrible and a part of history people don't want to remember for good reasons. I mean, they want to remember it for reasons like this. So you can say, what the hell are you doing? No one wants to see that anywhere at all anymore. So for me, it's just, again, common sense would dictate anybody on their team, anybody in their brewery, someone should have been like, hey, yeah, it's not a great idea. What do you guys think? I just feel like they probably just did it and didn't really ask anybody. Maybe no one in the community, no one in their brewery. I mean, I don't get how that goes out. Even if you're in Nova Scotia, how that goes out and is actually on a label and stuff nowadays. You can talk about like the misogynist beer label and stuff, but that has the that is potential for way more negative feedback than anything that's misogynist or whatever, because that has bad history over it if you think at it from looking at it from like what people outside of Nova Scotia do. And I don't get it. I just don't get why they ever did that. It's stupid.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they didn't. As I say, I almost wonder if they wasn't doing it on purpose, knowing that they would get people talking about it. Hence, it's going to be some, whether it's negative or not, it's stupid on their part, in my opinion, but assume, we'll go with it. And if we get some negative, whatever, people talking about our brewery, one way or the other, their name's getting out there one way, whether it's bad or not, that makes sense.
Well, some
actually what they did, but
some may have the, any publicity is good publicity, right? Type mentality. But I mean, it's a big risk, especially knowing in the craft beer world, especially what have we been talking about at points over the last year, labels, right? And it's kind of people are like taking different things and something where some of the award shows are now, or the contests or competitions aren't allowing certain breweries to compete because their labels are offensive. And from what it looks like, it looks like they have beers that people do like and everything. I don't think if you have to rely on the label, I think that's an issue there with the beer you're making, but they shouldn't have to. And even though it's a landmark, not all landmarks are always good. Look at what's going on across the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So
that's a good point. And on top of that, I don't think I mean, I want to believe the owners are good people, and I'd imagine I don't think there's any ill will there. I don't think they did it for any other reason than they wanted to showcase the local landmark or whatever is associated with that tree and whatnot. But again, it's common sense. Common sense has to come into play, and it has to say, look, yeah, in Nova Scotia, whatever community you're in, yeah, that might be a local landmark, but in like the U.S. specifically, that's not a local landmark. It's anything but a local landmark. It has negative connotations and negative thoughts throughout the country. So it's like, you got to look at that. And you know what? It's just a fucking label. Let's be honest. It's just a label. Change it. It doesn't just change it to something else. It's a, what is it? A red IPA or whatever? Change it to something else. It can be whatever. No one cares.
Easier. If they at least would have had a tire on the noose or something, just not a noose by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're calling it something to hang an oak and you just see a noose by itself on a tree, what are you going to think when you see the can?
And it's so small. It's like, and it's in the background too. It's like, what do you think people are going to think? Seriously, like it's just dumb. It's just from that aspect, it's dumb. Be smarter. That's all I can say.
And this is why you should contact Rajay BeerVentures for your marketing consultations.
Yeah. Or just contact anybody. Just anybody who would be like, that's not a great idea. Just think about that.
Yeah. And like, Craig said, it sounds like Buxton Brewery Yellow Belly still gets mixed reactions. 2017 vintage just been released. But here's the thing. Buxton Brewery actually puts right on it why they're using the label is to make fun of the clan. So,
but have you ever seen Rod? Have you ever seen some people who are actually racist and they think that label's for them? Like, yeah, it's a racist label. It's great. It's like, settle down, read it, read what they're saying. It's not for you. It's against you. Settle down.
Well, I've seen some people get upset because they just see it and they're like. And I'm like, well, did you read to see what it actually does? Kind of make fun of it. Well, no, just having is going to encourage people to join the clan. I'm like, really?
Well, people are drinking better
skill than just a beer.
Yeah, it's just a beer. Pretty sure no one's be like, this is a fantastic biscuit peanut butter stout of Jonas Clan.
This clan beer goes good with gorgonzola cheese.
Yeah. Where's the burning process? Like, I don't understand what's happening. I mean, I get like labeling. A lot of it's shitty. There's a lot of misogynist labels. There's a lot of labels like that. The one that in Nova Scotia, and this world's becoming a bit too PC in a lot of respects. But like things like that label and like some of this, it's just unnecessary. Here, I get that the marketplace is tight nowadays. 6,000 breweries in the U.S. and you got to be eye catching, but be eye catching for a positive label, something that looks cool and doesn't mean anything bad, and it's just like. Just do a better job at promoting your brewery and marketing. That's all it takes. You don't have to. I know the whole any publicity is good publicity, but it's like not anymore. Yeah. You gotta work past that now.
Yeah, right. I know that where Todd is against the grain. I know a lot of people that have still not bought the brown spot because of the way the can looks. I haven't even bought it, but it's kind of like. It just turns you off when you see it.
I am one of those people. We started getting against the grain like 2 or 3 years ago. And aside from the prices being crazy, I think they had a double IPA in a bomber bottle that was called Rico Sauvin. So I thought the name was awesome, like Rico Suave, but using Nelson Sauvin hops. I'm like, that's a fantastic name. And then the price was $17.99 for a bomber. And I'm like, no one's paying $18 for a double IPA in a bottle. And then the brown note came out, and I was just like, number one, it's a brown ale. I don't care. Number two, that is the dumbest label I've ever seen. It's just gross. It doesn't offend me. I just don't. It's a terrible label. I don't want to buy it.
Had humor at that level. That's where.
Yeah, it's like who farted. I get it. Who farted? Who did fart? Who did? I get it. Hilarious. Who farted? But anytime I have to say your name, I feel embarrassed saying your fucking name because it's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a lot of women going out and buying Flying Dog's pearl necklace.
No, I mean, ZZ Top's a big fan of it, but that's about where it ends.
But I think Bum said even if there's no malice intended with any of these companies' artwork, and I'm sure that's not always err on the side of caution, and just don't do it. That's really what it's all about. Just you're in marketing, you're marketing your product out there. I mean, there's certain things that that certain people won't get on certain shows or whatever, or certain things because you don't want that coming back on you.
Yeah,
it's all kinds of stuff that happens,
Well, and Tim's Brew says you got a beer like Arrogant Bastard Ale. No one says nothing about that. I get that to a certain to a certain point, but it's like, it's not offending, I don't think, anybody arrogant bastard ale. It's just kind of saying they're arrogant, they're bastards, and they're talking about how, like, you can't handle the beer. That's the whole marketing behind the arrogant bastard, which was a big deal, 15, 20 years ago. But you weren't offending anyone. You were just calling people who wouldn't drink it, like, oh, man up or whatever. Like, come and drink this beer. You're not good enough to handle this, right? And it was like, I get that part of it, but you're not putting potentially racist labels on your beer. You're not putting misogynist labels on your beer. Right. I mean, I get it. Everyone's offended nowadays from everything seemingly, and some of it is well justified, and some of it's just like, you can't be offended at everything. Yeah. But like that label you showed tonight and some of the other ones, it's just like, just be smarter about it. Just understand how this world works now.
Someone made a beer, they put on a label, they called it Child's Playground, and you had a van with some guy handing candy out of a van to a child. Who would buy that type of beer? I mean, there's just certain things that you just don't do.
Exactly.
Right. Don't give anybody any ideas, Rod.
Right.
Yeah. And on top of that, the sad thing about that, Rod, is though there would be people justifying it.
Yeah.
There would be like, oh, it's just a label. What I get, it's just a label, but it's also on shelves in stores where everyone can see it. Because look, not all those beers are just available at the beer stores. There's tons of grocery stores where kids and everybody from all walks of life, they purchase their groceries at these places. They can see them on the label, and you don't want anything that's going to be overly offensive. That's just how. Just look, whether you agree or disagree with it, that's how this world is nowadays. So you gotta, if you're a business, you gotta play to the consumers and the potential consumers, and when you don't do that, you're just doing yourself a disservice. That you're getting negative publicity. And nowadays, negative publicity isn't good publicity really anymore. Social media and everyone having an opinion and everyone hearing about it, it's terrible. There's people that will go to the ends of the earth to make sure people don't buy your products because there's a lot of them are sick. But I mean, I get it. They're very passionate. So you got to be smarter when you're releasing product labels of anything you sell in this world, not just beer.
Yeah. You have to be aware of it and prepared for it. So it always goes back, and I noted this on one of the things. It goes back to the person that's sending the communication, not the ones receiving it. So your responsibility as a sender is how the message should be interpreted. So you got to look at all that.
I agree. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
There's a brewery locally. Rod's probably familiar with it. 450 North Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. They've come out with a nugget series, and all their artwork on their cans are geared towards like almost you'd think like towards kids. They have a
because I still haven't got that fruity nugget yet.
Nuggets with just like Cocoa Puffs, cereal box label, and then they come out with one that looks like Super Mario Brothers, something. Jeff, the name escapes me now, but people are saying, is that right that they're gearing, type things. And somebody also made a point. It's like, well, it's going back to our childhood type thing, not necessarily kids of today. Like they probably don't even. Maybe they probably might know.
Well, it's like when we were kids, we had candy cigarettes and stuff. So I mean,
yeah, we did.
And then someone said, "You shouldn't be doing that."
but here's another thing people don't take into consideration is like good parenting. Like you could tell your child, and if you're a good parent and you express to them what's good and what's bad. Like my parents used to tell me, my dad used to tell me, like that candy cigarettes, I'm sure they taste good, but don't ever smoke. Like they're not good for you. So guess what? I love those candy cigarettes. Not a fan of real cigarettes. So it's like one of those things. If you have a beer label that has Cocoa Puffs on it or Fruit Loops or whatever, it's like I would tell my child that's an alcoholic beverage. You could drink that when you're of age or whatever, but it's not for you. If you want Cocoa Puffs, we'll go down the cereal aisle and I'll buy you a box of Cocoa Puffs and you can have it for breakfast occasionally.
A lot of people were making that argument. It's like, at some point you got to put it on the parent for something in that, in that specific area. It's like you got to step up and be like, what's right and wrong.
Yeah, and I think the society nowadays lays the blame at the feet of everybody but themselves when it comes to parenting. It's like, listen, there's things out there that there's a bunch of different commercials and marketing that are geared towards children to kind of not brainwash them, but get them to understand and love a certain product. Like, you see, why are there so many like fast food commercials with like Happy Meals and this and that? It's because they know when you're out and about, your kid's going to remember that from the commercial and go, oh man, I could totally go for a Happy Meal today. Oh, let's do it. And you're going to buy it for them because they want it. But like in a lot of aspects, like we're talking about the beer and stuff, it's like if you just do a good job parenting, you should be able to tell your kid what's right, what's wrong, and they'll be able to make the appropriate decision once you let them know how it works. And a lot of people don't. They just, whatever. Fucking let the social media and the commercials and the radio and stuff take care of my child. And it's like, it's not how it works. And that's how it's never worked that way.
Well, I grew up at a time where the answer was always because. So as a kid, why can't I have that because? What do you mean? Because I said so. All right, sounds good. Sounds good.
Because I'm your father.
You would judge by the tone on that answer. You're like, all right. Yep.
I get it. I also want to point out something that Tim says, and Tim, this is me not being confrontational. I am interested in what you're saying about the arrogant bastard ale, and he says, you know what bastard means? It's crazy. And I think what he's referring to is the definition of bastard. That means a person that is born to parents out of wedlock. That's like the original definition of bastard. But the definition of bastard has added a few more definitions to it over the course of time. And the bastard definition that I think Stone is bringing to the table is the one that says an unpleasant or despicable person. That's what they're coming from. So I get what you're saying, Tim, but I think they're meaning that actual meaning of the definition of the word bastard. I don't think they mean it from the first one. At least I hope they don't.
So you think backwoods bastard?
Yeah, I don't think they mean backwoods kid born out of wedlock. I hope they don't. That would be really poor take on Founders and Stone, I would say. And then I could see the uproar because that would be terrible. But I think they just mean, when I think of imagination. Let's take a little poll here. When you guys think of the word bastard, do you guys think of it of the person born out of wedlock, or do you think of it like, man, you're a bastard, as in like you're a shitty person, or you're just that's what I think about it. I actually, the original definition kind of just doesn't really work for me.
I grew up in Jersey, so bastard for me, and you knew the original meaning because when you learned stuff like that. But when you grew up later on, it was kind of just like a name you would just throw at somebody. And there was different ways you can do that. I go back and I think like Donnie Brasco and to Forget About It. There was different ways that bastard meant different things too. Like, oh, you're a funny bastard, and it wasn't really an attacking type thing. Or it'd be like, you're an effing bastard. That'd be totally different. So,
yeah,
I guess it's all in the connotation, and words change over time. What is that? Etymology? The words change over time.
You had me at enema. I'm done.
There's a thing where words change over time for different meanings. So. Yeah, it's kind of evolved over that too, I think. But
I would agree. I think probably the true definition of it's probably the last definition that anybody really probably thinks of, and that term is actually.
Yeah, I think also with like you didn't know who your parents were as the original too, though. Like you were a bastard, like you didn't know something. So
and it was meant in like a hateful meaning way. Like if like someone
it was like a scarlet letter back then. Yeah,
it was bad. I mean, if you called someone a bastard, it was not a good look on you. I'll tell you that much. We also have
Game of Thrones. If you're watching Game of Thrones, that's definitely the term for it. But the definition of the word.
Sure. Bum says that there are still candy cigarettes for sale in specialty candy stores. Great, funny brand names such as Just Like Dad and Doctor's Choice. That's pretty good.
I was gonna mention that earlier. I've seen them out in stores still. I was kind of surprised.
Unbelievable. Craig says, tell me about it, Joe. My 2-year-old asking for a Happy Meal every time she sees the Big M. No, it's true. I mean, if you let your kids watch TV or they know of commercials or even listen to it on the radio, it's like that's how they work. That's what they're trying to do. Trying to set up children for a lifetime full of eating nothing but Big Macs. That's how it works.
That's like part of all the marketing. Like you guys know, like my background, my degree in advertising and stuff is there's certain times of the day where certain things are targeted. And they get the kids, they come out of school and they start rolling with this stuff like that with the McDonald's or the Wendy's. And when you get in the holiday season, you see all the Christmas toys start running at a certain time or whatever. But it's all part of the programming. It's all repetition. You just hear it over and over again. It becomes subliminal at a point, and or subconscious. You just start thinking about it.
Have you all seen the new Taco Bell commercial that they're going to start serving French fries?
Yep.
No, I didn't see that one.
I saw the commercial today. I hollered at my daughter because she was telling me about it. I never heard about it before, and the commercial came on.
Taco Bell
looks like a movie promo. It looks like a movie promo.
Yeah.
It's like a big movie star in it. Like a movie. I mean, this commercial is like at least a 60.
Taco Bell's like trying to go after McDonald's, Chipotle. Pretty soon it'll be chicken and KFC. I mean, they're just trying to do too much.
I feel like Taco Bell should start focusing maybe on just selling real beef.
Yeah.
Start.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, at the end of the commercial, I was kind of pissed because I was like, damn, it's just a Taco Bell commercial. I thought it was an actual movie promo.
He's like, where am I going? When is this coming out? It's like, oh, wait, it's coming out next week, and it's French fries at Taco Bell. Damn it.
Speaking of Taco Bell, that's what I did. I did have Taco Bell for lunch earlier. I do like those Locos tacos.
The Locos tacos.
The Doritos ones.
The Doritos ones, they're good. Yeah, they're pretty good.
Good.
I mean, hey, here's the thing about Taco Bell. Do they sell real beef? Who knows? Probably not.
We don't know about McDonald's either.
No, like they sell 100% pure beef. What they don't tell you is the name of the company is beef. So yeah, they're selling you a 100% pure beef company product. But it's one of those.
Meat.
Yeah. We don't know if it's meat, but it's 100% pure beef company.
The Glue Factory can't take all of the horse.
But but Taco Bell is good for what it. I mean, listen, eat whatever people crave fast food, whatever. Taco Bell's all right. But I don't know about fries there. I'm gonna try them at some point, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know how that is gonna work.
It comes like a nacho cheese dipping sauce.
Oh Jesus, that's crazy.
Well, the Taco Bell that I went to today was what I told you guys. We got the cantina downtown by my office, so I finally got in there today. Actually, I tried to go to We Got a Wahlburgers here now. I was going to go to Wahlburgers lunch. Yeah. Today was opening day. I had no idea. There was like a 15 to 20 minute wait. So I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. So I ended up going to the cantina. And then it's like, oh, yeah, they got beers here now. They actually have Rheingeist, one of our local crafts, on tap. I'm like, what?
It's like, I'm talking
about going to be all like macro-owned beers. But they had Dos Equis, they had Budweiser, and they had Rheingeist. So they're 3 taps. I was like, nice.
I was going to ask you if they had any of those, just kind of making a joke about it. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, so they got that there. You can get like those freezes, I think, there too, or maybe margaritas as well.
I don't know if you guys know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me just because like Buffalo Wild Wings and a couple other like the fast casual kind of places or like lower end restaurants of chains. They do the same thing. They'll carry a local beer too to kind of piece to that crowd on top of it. I mean, it's you should be doing that honestly.
Yeah, but they still give me the frosted glasses. BW3.
All right, settle down, Rod. We know you hate frosted glasses.
It's so funny. So when I went to the meeting today, I was talking to a few of the people there. About some of the places. I said, yeah, we were saying how a lot of these people in these different bars and establishments, it's amazing how many are out there that don't know how to serve beer. Like they're not trained by their people or whatever. And I brought up the frosted glass, and this guy was like, oh, frosted glass, I hate that shit. It's like, right, it's not just me, right? It's not just me.
And that should be the thing. They should never serve it into it unless you ask them to.
Right.
It should be a choice. It should just be like you have to tell them not to because it's just like, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense for people always want ice cold beer, but not anymore. Couple comments we have. Jamie from Basement Beer Review says, Rod, why can't I get beer deals like you? Because ...
Because you're in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, no one gets deals in Canada.
Nobody gets deals like me.
Unless you're an American that comes up to Canada.
Joe?
Well, I get a deal when I go up to Canada because I can come up with $100 bill and I basically own the province of Ontario. That's how that works. Our money means a lot up there. It's good.
I actually did pick up a deal. I picked up when I picked these up. Other beers.
What'd you get, Rod?
Hey, Joe. Here we go.
Let's see.
Here we go, Todd. This is gonna be fantastic. Guys.
I hadn't put them away yet. I was gonna do an unboxing video, but
I don't want to ruin your fun. I don't want to ruin your fun, Rod. Sorry.
I finally found it here. Booyah.
Boom sauce.
I was going to pick one of those up today, Rod, just because you said you got one. We've had it for a while.
Very little of our places have it. I found a new spot that actually carries stuff that most places don't get. And I finally got the Big Bad Batches. So pick that up.
That's just the regular, right? Big Bad Baptist.
Yeah, just the regular Imperial Stout, but it's a start. It's a start.
No, that's a great beer.
Well, no, like $12, 13 for the bottle. So I don't always get deals.
No, I guess not. We're gonna have to dial you back like a 0.5% at this point.
I picked up Dogfish Head, that red and white. This one was kind of interesting. It's an oak-aged Imperial Wit Ale brewed with grape must. So it's like done in grape, like 10% ABV.
I had that one a few years ago, I believe.
Me too, but I don't think it was barrel aged. Was it when we had it?
I don't think. Yeah, you might be right. I don't think it was. I'm gonna look it up and see.
But I got this one, and for some reason, the bottle intrigued me. And this might be something that Craig has from overseas. Yeah, actually, product of the UK, St. Peter's Golden Ale. Never seen it before. I said that bottle's intriguing. I might actually save this bottle because I think it's pretty cool. But Craig, if you've had this before, let me know. And so they got this is one that was actually one of our locals, Braxton. The pot calling a kettle sour. It's actually a kettle sour that's oak aged, 11.2%.
Those guys are brewing a ton of stuff right now.
Oh, yeah. And then I got the other one. It's Rheingeist. This was actually done with Quaff Brothers, a barrel-aged Belgian-style double ale, Grand Cru. So on top of all the other beers I got in the basement, here's some more. And then I got Todd's tomorrow. They'll be here probably. So
yeah, you should get that one tomorrow. It just went into today.
So my beer cellar list is steadily growing.
Yeah, no, I had the 2013 red and white, and I think it's so that's not like it's a true barrel age, but it's not true barrel age because a fraction of that beer is brewed in Pinot Noir barrels, I believe. So it's like just like a percentage of it. But I enjoyed the red and white. I had an aged bottle of it. It was pretty solid. So I'll be curious to see what you think about that one because it's definitely a unique twist on the style. We also have Bum who says, when I hear the word bastard, I think of The Young Ones. I'm guessing Greg is familiar with that show. Yes, that is an early 80s English comedy show. I know Paul from P.A. Brewdus. He's a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So is Tim, apparently. He also says, yes, I've had this. All the St. Peter's Brewery beers have this unique shape.
Yeah, definitely unique. So I'll probably save that bottle. And I don't save many bottles. I only have like 2, actually. I think 2 of the Rogue bottles, but
yeah.
Of a cask.
How's that one tasting or smelling?
It smells like straight bourbon out of the bottle. A lot of chocolate too, though. I do get to do a lot of chocolate out of it.
That's how mine smelled too. When I opened it up, Todd, it was like. Yeah, it was like a straight spirit out of the bottle. And even when I poured it, once it opened up though, like in the glass, it kind of died down. Still a huge bourbon note to it, but it's so decadent. All the decadent chocolate.
It's kind of funny. The more I read Vine Pair, I wonder why do I read Vine Pair?
That's on you. That's on you, Bob.
And they say the article says hot take: the millennials killed the king of beers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I mean, their sales were getting pulled away from anyway, but it's not about the millennials killing them.
All about the millennials, baby. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, macro beer is always going to be here, but it's definitely, it's still, it's funny as people talk about like micro hurting macro and stuff, but like other macros hurt macros just as much. It's like a infighting between all of them as well. Like a lot of their marketing and commercials and stuff are geared towards other macro beers. It's like it's the micro is still a small percentage of the actual take when it comes to beer in general. Yeah. It's growing, but it's still not anywhere close to macro level. So
yet the Sunday after this Sunday during the Super Bowl, there'll be a commercial from Budweiser probably attacking craft beer.
Probably because that's how they roll. Yeah, that's how they roll. That's how they've rolled for like the past 5 years. They buy out Elysian and then make fun of like a peach pumpkin ale that Elysian would actually brewed.
Right.
It's like you just bought Elysian. They make a peach, whatever it was, peach pumpkin ale.
Like, what are
you're shitting on it. Like, what? You guys should, I don't know. Shout out to the Nova Scotia brewery with the terrible logo. Like, that's pay attention to the marketing within your company, or within the world. Just have an understanding. If you buy a company like that, somebody within Budweiser should be like, yo, Alicia, we totally just bought that.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's like oopsie daisy. They totally make a peach pumpkin now. Oh boy. Probably rethink this commercial real quick.
Well, on the heels of some of the stuff, earlier this week I talked about Mendocino actually looking to close their doors. I actually picked up a 4-pack of Mendocino on my trip to West Virginia this past weekend because I'm like, hey, that's a collector's item now, so let me grab that. Smutty Nose stuff. Forbes just released a piece saying the U.S. beer industry's workforce more than doubled in a decade. So there are definitely still stuff growing there with jobs and everything. So
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it too. See a lot of these breweries that are closing and like cutting their workforce in half. The simple fact of the matter is they didn't change with the times with micro. Like Mendocino. Listen, I've had some brews from their brewery and like maybe 5-6 years ago it was solid, but like now can't be like this. Our amber ale over here is fantastic. No one cares about your amber ale.
Yeah.
Number one, there's shit tons of amber ales that are probably better than yours. You're not doing anything to keep with the times. Same thing with like Green Flash. I like Green Flash beer, but let's be honest. How many innovative beers have you seen from Green Flash over the last 5 years? It's been their classics. They're not. You need those year-round stable core lineup beers, but you also need the innovative beers, the beers that are going to get people talking about you and still continue to drink your core beers. That's why I think a lot of these new breweries are going wrong too. You see a lot of these new breweries, every week it's a brand new beer. They don't have a core beer. It's like, oh, here's our rotating offering. At some point, someone's going to be like, look, I like all these new beers.
Right.
Where's your 3 year-round beers that I can pick up anytime I want? Oh, those don't exist? Well, that's kind of shitty. Like, I love this one beer, but you brew it once a year. What the hell? Like, I want something that I can get whenever.
Yeah.
You're going to see a drop-off of a lot of places that just do rotating offerings or special one-offs because while that's cool now, a couple years from now, the landscape will change and people will be like, no, I still want 2 or 3 year-round beers from you. I don't know. You're seeing the so-called bubble burst slightly. It's kind of correct. The market's correcting itself. But you're going to see a lot more breweries that haven't brought anything to the table in the last 3 to 5 years. You're going to start seeing them, unfortunately, have to cut their workforce. You're going to see some of them go out of business. And it's shitty. Like, I mean, I love Smutty Nose, right? Like, I think they make really good beer. But I can't name you one beer from Smutty Nose in the last 3 years that made me go, oh, my God, I got to try that. Because it's the same stuff they've been releasing forever, at least in my area. I'm maybe locally and stuff, they're releasing different specialties. But it's like, I like your year-round stuff, but you bring nothing new to the table. Meanwhile, in the last 2 months, there's 10 new breweries in my area. I've never had any of their stuff, and I want to drink it all because it sounds interesting. What do you think is going to happen? That's what people do. I mean, that's how this works. So again, we talked about marketing stuff earlier. You gotta pay attention to the marketplace too. You gotta have your pulse on it.
Yeah. In the same sense, though, do they really need to have? I understand what you're saying, and I kind of agree with you. But because of what everybody's looking for, that new time, do you really have to have a base core?
Well, and I agree, and I think right now you don't. But 2 years from now, I think people are going to get sick of the ever. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard this in the last 6 months to a year, but someone's like, man, I love this beer and this beer from this brewery, but they only do it occasionally. Why don't they do it all the time? You're going to see a lot more people come to love a beer or two from a brewery that does nothing but occasional releases, one-offs, and rotating, where they're going to be like, listen, I don't want to go spend $5-6 on this specialty can that I don't know what I'm going to get because I've never had it before. Yes, the allure of trying it's great because we all want, variety is the spice of life, right? You all want variation when you're drinking beer. But at some point, you want that old standby that you're like, I can go buy a 4 or 6-pack of that. I know what I'm getting. It's going to be fantastic. I can have it in the fridge. I can have one. And a lot of these new breweries don't have that. They just have brand new stuff that they constantly release. And a lot of times the stuff just isn't good too. Like they'll release stuff and they'll be like, oh, we're doing this with these new special ingredients. And you get them and you're like, wow, like I just paid $16 for this 4-pack. When I could have paid $16 for a 4-pack of something I like. Yeah, that's shit that I don't enjoy. Yeah. You're going to see more people upset with that in the next couple of years than are happy with just the constant rotating stuff. At least that's my personal opinion. It's not fact. It's just what I think. But I do think you're going to see that. I think it's going to correct itself again because it's going to constantly correct itself to the point where I think you have a balance between places that do year-round stuff and special releases, you want to appease to everyone, don't you? You want a piece of that person that buys a case of your beer and just hangs on to it for a month and drinks it. Right. You want to appease that person that wants the one-off or a seasonal or whatever. The breweries that are going to do well are the breweries that are going to have the core range, the specialty releases, and the seasonals. You're going to hit every single person that wants to buy your beer, and you're going to hit them right in the heart, where you want them, right in the heart. It's going to be great.
With one of our local beer stores here, I know the owner pretty good, and we talked about that. He has people that come in, ask him, are looking for the specialty stuff, and he's like, "Well, I can't get it, or we don't get it because we don't sell enough of the regular stuff, distribution-wise, where they're going to distribute the specialty stuff to us, because we don't sell enough of the regular, that everyday type, brews that because you're looking for." The one, once a year type thing or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of have to be a rounded type buyer, really. You got the standard stuff and the specialty stuff to keep it coming.
You know who falls suit or falls right in there is Goose Island. And I know this for a fact from local distributors here and beer managers that have told me specifically how it works. You have to sell a certain amount to get a certain amount of cases of Bourbon County and the variants and everything. Yeah. And a lot of the places don't sell like 312 and honkers and stuff. Or if they do, they don't sell a lot of it because nobody drinks it at that certain store. So they'll get a case or two of Bourbon County and that's it. And people will be upset. We're like, why don't you get more Bourbon County? Well, because you don't buy honkers or 312 or any of their regular releases.
Yeah, so you can't just come and say that. It's funny that you say that because that was the one that he mentioned. He was like, people complain because they don't get enough Bourbon County. He gets a case. He's like, but I also don't sell enough of the other stuff to get enough Bourbon County.
Yeah. That's how it works. And that's how it should work, though.
Exactly.
If you're a brewery or if you're a business, that's how it should work. Why? You're just going to come buy one or two beers a year from me because they're great and they're hyped, but you won't buy my regular year-round product. Well, then I'm not going to supply that place with that because they don't sell enough of my regular product. Why am I going to reward them when they don't reward me? That's the kind of thing I get that. I totally get it. But it's on the consumers who are buying Bourbon County. They shouldn't complain that they can't get Bourbon County if you don't support Goose Island any other way. You shouldn't.
Yeah, but it's like someone like me, for instance, like I don't buy like a regular amount of the core stuff a lot. I mean, like one of the breweries here, for instance, Rheingeist, like I love their Striker, which is a double IPA, but I would never really go out there and buy Truth, which is their flagship IPA, just because I've had it enough that's like, I don't really want to go buy any more of that. But when you bring out these other ones, I'll look at buying those ones. But if some people aren't buying them, they're not seeing the other ones.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And again, that's fine to do that, but I don't say, because everyone has a voice, but I don't say it shouldn't give you a right to complain about it. Like you shouldn't be like, oh, I should be able to buy all the Bourbon County. Well, if that place doesn't sell enough and you're not buying any of it, that's just how it works. You shouldn't be complaining about something that's kind of in your control and other consumers' controls. Like, because that's what people do. They go out and buy Bourbon County, but they buy nothing from Goose Island. Yeah. So if Bourbon County doesn't show up in your area, if you're not supporting them, then why would they send beer to that area if no one's buying it?
Well, it's like here, like we don't get Canadian breakfast out a lot of places, but we don't sell a lot of Founders beer, so you don't expect it either.
Yeah, well, Founders brew too much of that beer, motherfuckers.
I'm glad they did. That's kind of a double-edged sword of craft beer. I'm guilty of it too. The same. You're always looking for the new beer that you've never had. So it's like, it's a good go-to if you're at a restaurant. You know what to expect. You know what to buy.
And everybody's different, though.
Or if you're just looking for a good, solid IPA that you know you're going to like, and
we're in the minority, Todd. The thing is even though we're on BeerTube, we're in the minority. Not everybody wants to just buy new stuff. We want to buy new stuff because we want to constantly try it. For someone like Rod, he wants to review it. He wants to get the word out stuff. But there are a lot of people who just go and buy 12 packs of like whatever their favorite is. If something new comes in, they'll buy it. But they have their standy, trusty, whatever beer they enjoy. And that's what keeps a lot of these breweries afloat. If it came to the point where the vast majority of craft beer drinkers bought nothing but rotating and one-offs, be a lot of breweries going under. A lot of breweries. A lot of big breweries, too. Yeah. I mean, how do you think Sierra Nevada stays like afloat? People buy tons and tons of Pale Ale and Torpedo and all these beers. And somebody's buying all this Pale Ale.
Right.
Well, that's one of those beers that you see. Well, that's one of those beers you see in a lot of restaurants. So kind of the restaurant industry itself could keep that beer alive. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a good standard go-to that you can go buy pretty much anywhere if you know, just using that as an example. To your point.
Yeah, I totally agree. The two comments we have is Craig talking about Kent beer reviews. He's talking about himself.
I saw Tim's comment there.
Well, yeah. Well, first Craig says Cloudwater. Now, Cloudwater is one of the like big UK breweries when it comes to New England style IPAs, and they're very hyped and whatnot. And he says the same thing. They're a prime example of not having any core range. They have great beers, but they do all the same. And they're kind of like other Half and Trillium and Treehouse, where they do like New England style beers and they just change slight hops here and there and they release it as a new beer, but they don't have like that standard core beer. It's just like always rotating new beers. And I get that part of it. And he said, but they are with the times across social media. And that's another aspect of it. If you're good with social media and you're on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and you're posting all these special releases and get people hyped with limited amounts and stuff, you're still going to win right now. Like people are going to come, wait in line. People are going to buy your shit. That's how it works. And yeah, that Tim, what you're mentioning, Bourbon Stout 2017, I saw 15 cases today at the beer store. I asked why you still got so much and said it doesn't sell here and it's $20 a bottle. A lot of peeps buy only one. Well, yeah. And that's that's
$20 a bottle for one. That's why it's still sitting there, because I'm getting $8.99 here.
Well, Bourbon
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. If it's just a base edition, yeah.
And there's a lot of places too, like Florida, for example. Like last year and the year before, I saw people posting on Instagram and Twitter of literally pallets full of Bourbon County on the shelves, just sitting out, or not even on the shelves, just sitting on the floor, like no one buying it for like $10.99 a bottle. And I'm like, if that was in New York, that would be gone. That would be instantly gone. It all depends on where you live. Like it's certainly true. I think a lot of the southern cities and whatnot, they're not as hyped when it comes to big releases like that. But also certain, just like I know in like Arizona where Joe Diaz, Florida.
But you would think going back to market and they would pick up on that and say, hey, maybe we need to address them, not send these here.
You would think so. Like I have no answer for that. You would think so.
Freaking marketing. What is wrong with you people? Call Rajay BeerVentures.
Yeah, call
Rajay BeerVentures will straighten your ass out.
Rajay is here to sell you beer, and also if you could hook him up with a few like free beers for reviewing purposes, he's on board. He's on board.
We'll work for beer.
Yeah.
Work for beer.
You know where to find me.
It's not hard to find.
A t-shirt.
Yeah.
You got to buy a t-shirt. That's right.
At least two.
But you want to get into talking Victory Brewing?
If you want to mention that Jackie O's thing.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. You want to hit the Jackie O's piece? Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to? So yeah. Well, Rajay's in. So I brought this to the table because Rajay is on the border of Cincinnati and Kentucky. And but Jackie, he considers the Cincinnati area local, some parts of Kentucky, whatever, right? He's on the border. Everything's local. But in Columbus, Ohio, there's Jackie O's Brewery. He's got it up here. So what happened was I think Jackie O's had I want to say it was their anniversary party or some kind of special release party where they released a bunch of barrel-aged beers. And they actually have the list. If you scroll down, Rod, they have the list of beers that you can. So right there, the bourbon barrel-aged brick kiln with nuts, oil of Aphrodite, coffee oil of Aphrodite, Oro Negro, Champion Ground, Black Mask, Black Maple, Vanilla Black Maple. So they released all these beers at their brewery. And apparently all those beers, well, a lot of those beers were infected. So in this day and age, we all know about the Goose Island and the a couple years ago when bottles of Bourbon County were infected, and I believe the barley wine stuff. They did a good return policy where you could send them a picture of the label or your receipt or whatever, and they ended up sending you the refund plus a shirt and a bunch of other stuff, which was cool. They didn't have to do that. I mean, none of these breweries have to do that, but again, we talk about like customer service and marketing, all this stuff. If you want to keep your loyal fans and loyal customers who spent sometimes hundreds of dollars on your beers, this is the way to do it. So starting, as you can read right there, starting Monday, February 5th, they will actually exchange those bottles for brand new bottles from the brewery. Now, I don't know what ensures that the new bottles you're getting aren't infected, but it's cool to see a smaller brewery do a release properly. And unlike a lot of places where they'll only give you like a 1 or 2 week window, I believe if you scroll up, Rod, I think it says May 31st. Yeah, you have until May 31st to return them. All you have to do is send an email to makingitright@jackios.com, and within 48 hours of your arrival. And when you show up, they'll definitely hook you up. Now, here's the thing. The unfortunate thing is if you came out of town or whatever, Todd brought this up, what happens to people who, didn't buy the stuff in town? What if you're, 2 or 3 states away or whatever? Unfortunate for you, but here's the thing. You still have a good 3 or 4 months to get to the brewery to make a return trip. I know it's not perfect, but it's still awesome to see a brewery willing to, as they say, make it right, because there's a lot of breweries out there. I mean, our buddy of a good friend of the channel, someone who's on here every week, except for this week because he's in England or just getting home soon. Eric over at Eric's Beer Reviews, Eric, a Lions fan. He actually bought an infected bottle of, was it the barrel-aged Old Rasputin from North Coast, I believe it was. And he tried to contact them on social media and email, and no one got back to him. And for like a week, and when they did, they were like, oh, whatever. Basically, they didn't make it right. They gave them the runaround, and a lot of people are talking about infected bottles. And that's a bigger brewery. North Coast is much bigger than Jackie O's. They've been around for a long time. So to see a small brewery do this and posting a huge explanation in the blog on their website is great. That's what you want to see about all these small breweries, because they have to make it right, because they don't want their reputation being soiled in this instant. So it's good to see from Jackie O. Shout out to Jackie O's. I've had some of their barrel aged stuff. I've had a lot of I think Jackie O's does awesome stuff. So it's cool to see them, aka make it right, as they say. So I just want to point that out in case anybody did. I'm sure anyone who went to it and got infected bottles, they already know about it. But since it's an Ohio brewery, and we got Mr. Cincinnati, Ohio beer deal king of the world over here. Figured I'd mention it.
I get a little deal here or there,
I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't believe you. You get all the deals. Every single deal out there. All right, so Victory Brewing Company. Yeah. So here we go. Victory Brewing Company. I hope Bum is still here, because he's the one guy in PA that
well, he's in Western PA though. They're Eastern here, Paul.
Yeah, but I mean, it's PA. Come on, he's got to know. Bob, you got to know. You know all about Victory. So, brewery was founded in 1996 by Ron Barchett and Bill Kowaleski, fellow Polish individuals. So, shout out to him. They founded it in downtown PA at an old Pepperidge Farm bakery. I thought that was a cool little.
Who remembers? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
They do. Good marketing. We'll always remember that. So I thought the cool part about this brewery and this story specifically, I won't get too far into it, but Ron and Bill were actually childhood friends all the way since they were 5 years old in kindergarten. And they ended up loving homebrewing in the 80s, and they ended up becoming homebrewers. And I believe it was Ron who started first. It was Ron, one of the two started first, and they kind of went to different breweries. Like they went to one of the, I think it was Baltimore Brewing Company, and then the other one followed suit a year later. They both did studies in Germany. So if you notice, like a lot of Victory's beers are very heavily influenced by German styles. And that's because both of them kind of grew up learning about it in Germany and homebrewing. So I thought that was really cool that they're friends from 5 years old. They started a brewery, and they both kind of went down the same path to get where they ended up getting, which was co-founding Victory Brewing Company. Their facility is in Downingtown, Pennsylvania. They also opened a state-of-the-art facility in Parkersburg, PA, which now pretty much houses most of their the production capacity for like everything they release. Right now, their original brewery is all about one-offs and specialty releases and stuff. And they also have a on-site brew pub where they do smaller releases and smaller batches of stuff in Kennett Square. And it was the first brewery to open in Kennett Square, PA since Prohibition, which again I thought was pretty cool to see. Right? I mean, you don't see too many breweries having that claim to fame. I thought it was cool that Victory. So if you go to Victory's website, they have an about Victory by the numbers, which is kind of reminds me of like, I know Rod loves sports and Todd likes sports. So when I see numbers, I get really happy because I'm like, oh my God, statistics. So they have a Victory by the numbers on their website. So 1996 was the year that they opened their door in Downingtown, PA. 141,671 barrels of Victory beer were sold in 2015. They have, and this is where I'm going to mix this time the beers they have along with their history, so we can just get to our opinions quicker, and plus the victory by numbers. This is a great part of the site. Anyway, 10 year-round brands. They have Headwaters Pale Ale. They have the Hop Devil IPA, which is what Rod is drinking right now, along with the Prima Pils, which is another one he's also drinking. Their Golden Monkey, which is their monkey. Their Belgian style triple, their Dirt Wolf double IPA, their Storm King Stout, which I think is more of a black IPA, but whatever. Their Victory Helles Lager, their Donnybrook Stout, their V12, and the beer that Craig said he could get until he wasn't feeling well today, and that's their Vital IPA. That's their year-round brands. Their 15-plus seasonal specialty brands are their Anniversary Ale, which they release every year. They also have Anniversary XX, which they just said it was an Anniversary Ale, and here's Anniversary 20th Anniversary. I don't know if they brought that to like be a rotating seasonal thing, but whatever. Their Helios Ale, their Hop Ranch Imperial IPA, their Summer Love Ale, their Kirsch Ghost, their Tart 10, their Cage Radler, Sour Monkey, Fest Beer, Moonglow of Weizenbach, Celine Saison, Winter Cheers, which Craig and I reviewed on his channel. Cheap plug, no one's going to watch it. Harvest Ale, Old Horizontal, and their Blackboard series, and more to come. So they make a lot of different beers. They actually have 70 different yeast strains that are available to their brewmasters, which is a shit ton of yeast strains. That's like a lot. Mm-hmm. They are distributed in 35 different states plus the District of Columbia. That make up their national distribution footprint. They're also in 9 different countries that carry Victory beer: Australia, the Cayman Islands, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Singapore, Sweden, and the UK. They actually used 7,000 pounds of waste diverted from landfills in 2015. So they stopped, they're basically saying they're cutting down on the waste, that's a lot of 7 million pounds is a lot. And they have 3,250 tons of spent grain used to feed hungry local farm animals in 2015. So Victor doing a lot of good things outside of just brewing good beer. So that's the beers by the number on their website. Like I said, go check it out. I just told you about it, but in general, it's a really cool aspect to the site. A lot of these websites that we've been doing from these breweries are just like bare bones. Like here's 2 things and go to Wikipedia, you piece of crap, and go find it yourself. So I did go to Wikipedia. And another thing, have we done Southern Tier? I feel like we've done Southern Tier already. Did we not?
No, we did Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't mention, but they, I think it was a year and a half ago. Yeah, February 16th. Yeah, almost 2 years ago, they formed a what is called the Artisanal Brewing Ventures Holding Company with Southern Tier. To kind of, so many places were getting bought out, so they decided to, take another big craft brewery and kind of merge with them to make a bigger company. So that was cool. They talk about how much, and again, like I was talking about Bill and Ron, the founders, how they kind of have like a German influence with their brewery. That's, if you look at a lot of Victory beers, a lot of them are, basically German styles, and they do them quite well for being United States brewery, and it's kind of what it talks about here on Wikipedia. They also only use, I don't want to say only, but they use, I think, for the vast majority of their beers, whole cone hops instead of pellets. So I think that's cool. I think Sierra Nevada does the same thing, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's one of those breweries where you could probably talk a lot about their history and this and that. And again, I will say this one last time. You want to learn more about Victory Brewing Company, go to their website. They have an awesome about page where it talks about the relationship between the founders, Bill and Ron, and how the brewery came to fruition, and like their background of their brewing history, what breweries they went to, their studies over in Germany and all that stuff. It's great. It's probably like 6-7 paragraphs, but it's well worth the read. But yeah, Victory has been around for 22 years now, and is being able to be distributed in 35 different countries in the U.S. plus 35 different states plus 9 different countries. They definitely have a big footprint nowadays. So as you can see, Todd, myself, and Rod can all get the beer. So, I mean, hell, even Craig, who is going to be on here in the UK, can get it. So I think that's pretty cool. But
we struggle to get a different varieties of Victory. Paul, who's like in their backyard.
Yeah, well, Paul's in no one's backyard but his own, and it's actually the backwoods. I'm surprised the man can get like fresh.
He sees me drink Victory. He's like, I can't get that here. How do you have that?
Yeah, it's amazing what. But then like he said he was at a local place and he got 6 cans of barrel aged 1050 from Oscar Blues. I'm like, dude, what? Like, you can't get these little beers, but you're just rolling in for barrel aged 1050. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
Crazy world we live in.
Frickin' Paul. So yeah, pretty diverse selection for Victory. I mean, they release a lot of stuff here and there, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, they're a decent brewery for sure. For me, they're kind of one of those other base hitters again. I don't think I've really been taken back a total amount by anything Victory has done, but there are some that definitely have some better potential than others.
Yeah, for sure. They do good stuff. They have a lot of different offerings, and I think their price point's pretty good too most of the time. Like I feel like you can usually get some of their regular offerings $250, right? I mean, what was the Java Cask, Todd? What was that for a 12-ounce? You remember?
I'm gonna say I paid about $3 or something like that.
That's all you need is like pricing right there.
About $3 or $4, but it's also just a 12-ounce bottle too.
Yeah, but it's a 12-ounce bottle of a 14% barrel aged.
14, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a 14, almost near 15% alcohol.
Yep,
it's in the $3 to $4 range. I bought it a few weeks ago, so I don't exactly remember what I paid.
It's all right. I paid nothing for this because Paul gave it to me, so thank you, Paul. I got a Rod Light deal on that. Actually, a better than Rod Light deal, which will never happen again. Bum says he has 27 different Victory untapped check-ins, including 10 years old from 2006. Jeez, that's crazy, Bum. See, I knew Bum was drinking that Victory goodness.
He and his Victory on.
I knew it. Tim says Victory is good. I'm trying to see. That's pretty much it for the most part. But yeah, so I guess we'll go to our personal feelings on Victory. I mean, all right, so we'll start off with your favorite beer. Well, we already know what we're drinking, but favorite beer from them, least favorite beer, what do you want to try? We'll start with Todd because put him on the spot.
My favorite beer there's I really, I don't know. I like their. It's hard to say. I don't know. I have I don't seek out Victory to drink enough of them to say that I have a favorite beer, but I do like their this Java Cask is pretty good. I do like their Storm King, Imperial Stout, which is pretty good. I do like the Hop Double. I think it's a solid IPA. And then for the Belgian style, you can't go wrong with the Golden Monkey. So I mean, there's a few of them out there, that are actually pretty good. I think. Seeking out, I really don't have an answer for that one.
All you do is disappoint me.
Beers, honestly, I had really just a terrible beer that I wouldn't probably buy again. So I think they're just a solid brewery in general.
Fair enough. I mean, if you haven't had, a ton that stick out. I mean, I feel Victory's kind of like that, right? Like a brewery that doesn't like blow you over, but also doesn't disappoint too often. They're just like kind of in that wheelhouse of being solid. All right, how about you, Rod?
And like you said too, the price point is pretty good for most of their stuff.
And the availability too, right?
Yeah.
The availability. It's like you never like Java Cask. You don't have to kill someone to get a bottle of it.
Right.
Makes sense.
So that's going for him for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Ron?
Well, for me, Victory, like I said, they're solid enough. They're decent enough. I would put them into that. So I go back to my sports analogy, get on base type brewery. They don't wow me with really anything, but rarely do they disappoint. I've had some ups and downs with them. It's like we go back, like Dusty Rhodes. We go back. I just want to down with you, Ric Flair.
We go way back, Daddy.
Back to the strap match. Funny, it's like probably the one that I've liked the least out of them is actually what I had here that I'm drinking right now. It's a Hop Devil IPA, which is okay for an IPA, but it's not anything really special about it. It's just it does what it's supposed to do, but you're not going to really remember as much about it.
But I think it's a solid IPA though. Do you not think it's just like a solid like you said? It's not like over the top, but it's I think
it's solid enough. I mean, like, for me, it's like a 3 out of 5 type IPA. It's good, it delivers. You're not going to be really disappointed with it, but I wouldn't go and expecting a lot out of it either. It's got a little more smoother feel,
right?
Because you got more of the malts coming through between that and the balance of the hops.
I can agree with that.
A little bit of a creaminess in there, but it's decent. It's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. It's just. It's just, it gets me on to stand up single. I'm looking at second, but I'm not really going to make that move on it.
And to be fair to that beer, though, that's an older IPA. I mean, they brewed that 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So it's with all the crazy flavors nowadays, it's hard to compare that beer to something that.
They classified, I guess, as an American IPA, which is really weak as an American IPA compared to what you're actually at. I would put it more like towards an English IPA. Because you're not getting a lot of that fruitiness, but you are getting some more of the other type stuff in there. Almost a little bit more of like a earthier type feel. You don't get a lot of the pine coming through, but you get a little bit of an earthier feel with it. But
maybe a little bit more malt forward too.
Definitely more malt forward for sure. But my favorite from them is actually the one Todd was drinking, the Storm King. That's the one that was a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed that one. I thought that one was done really well. And I also like their Golden Monkey series. And I've got the Sour Monkey downstairs as well, which I like that one. I've had that at Beer Fest, one of the Beer Fests. I'll be doing a review on that. So those are pretty good. I thought they did another monkey too now. I think they may have out there.
They have White Monkey, which is like I want to say white wine barrels.
Yeah. So you got that stuff. And they do get into other things outside of their core, which are interesting sometimes, like their Moving Parts series are pretty interesting. Their Blackboard series, I've had a few of those before. The Old Horizontal, which is their American barley wine, is a pretty good barley wine. Oh, yeah. So you have some other stuff that's out of there too. They did their 21st birthday IPA when they turned 21 years old. That was a good little version. That wasn't a regular beer. So, it's different things that hit and miss, but I mean, they're solid. You're not going to be, like I said, disappointed with them. You're going to come with some that, you're going to lay out that double off of them, but, few and far and in between that I would stretch a triple out with them.
Anything you want to try in the future? Anything that sounds interesting?
No, not really. That's what I'm saying. Nothing really jumps out to me.
You hear that victory? Really you hear that victory? Even deals can't bring. Oh, actually, deals will bring.
Was there? I pick it up. Like it's something like they did the Wild Devil, which was an American Wild Ale. It was interesting enough that I would go ahead and try it, but I didn't seek it out. So if there's things that do emerge, I'll definitely give it a try, but it's nothing that makes me want to hunt them down at all.
There you go. Jay gives it a solid. We'll see you in a couple minutes. No, I'm with you guys. My favorite beer from them is, you mentioned Old Horizontal, Rod. Mm-hmm. I had the luck or pleasure or combination of both to try their Oak Horizontal, which was their oak-aged Old Horizontal. And I actually brought that up to Chad, a.k.a. the Albino Rhino, over at the Albino Rhino Beer Review. I brought it up to him, and we did a review. I think it's on his channel. I don't remember. It's a long time ago. It was like 5 years ago. But that was my favorite beer. That beer was amazing. Like that, I can safely say, outside of this beer that I'm drinking right here, which Todd also has, this beer along with that beer is probably the two only like amazing or like just world class or just like awesome beers that I've ever had from Victory. And I can safely say that I would buy again. I thoroughly enjoy the whole nine. Most of their stuff that I like is just, if you want rating wise, like on tap, I give it like a 4 out of 5. Would be like the upper echelon of most of their beers for me. The two beers that I don't really care for from them were two beers that I did a blind taste testing at the aforementioned Paul's house when I hung out with him a couple years ago. We did a Marzen Oktoberfest blind taste testing. We also did a Pale Ale blind taste testing. And in those two blind taste testings, we had Victory Fest beer and we had the Headwaters Pale Ale. And both of those got like around a 3 out of 5. They're okay, but I would never seek them out or whatever. Certainly not in this day and age with so many beers available. So those are the only two that probably disappointed me from them. And the one beer I'd want to try is part of their Blackboard series. And I haven't seen it locally, and I know they released it, and that was that Black Forest cake beer that they had, which was cherries and chocolate. Now, Black Forest cake and any beer, if you're going to give me cherries and chocolate, the whole nine, like, yeah, sign me up. I don't care what it is. So when I heard that, I was like, I don't even care if it tastes like fake, crappy adjuncts. Like, I'm on board.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. It sounds amazing, and I haven't seen it here yet, so I'm hoping I find it at some point.
Cream ale with the cold brew coffee was number 5 in that series, and that was good.
Yeah, I like that. I had that too, and I think their Blackboard series is, again, I talked earlier about, like, having your core range and then having special releases. I think that's kind of what Victory understood after a while. They're like, oh, well, we have our core stuff, we have our German stuff. Well, people want crazy stuff, so here's the Blackboard series. You're going to get a cream ale with cold brew. You're going to get a Black Forest cake. You're going to get this. And it's good to see them step outside the box, which is why I think Victory still is holding quite strong, and a lot of people still buy their stuff because you have their classics, you have their seasonals, and now you have their specialty, like, one-off crazy beer. So, I mean, they're hitting every single pressure point that they need to hit for most people, I think.
Now, have you had their Jubilee before?
No, I've never had that.
Okay, that's the one that's like their beer champagne, so it's like a beer brute. So,
okay.
It's highly carbonated. I mean, it almost sounds like you're
champagne.
It's like you're drinking champagne, but
is it like the Infinity from Samuel Adams, kind of like in that?
Yeah, it was kind of like too many. I mean, that's the style of the beer, so you can't really fault like saying too many bubbles. But it's just for my taste, what I like. That one wasn't when I was like, but I'm not a big champagne drinker, so I was curious if you had it. What your thoughts were? Yeah,
no, I didn't have it.
Hey, Rod, since you're a Belgian style guy, what do you think of the Golden Monkey in general?
I think the Golden Monkey is decent. I mean, I think I rated it last like 4.25 out of 5. I think it's got a nice package around it, and trying to be like the Belgian ales. I mean, it's done in a Belgian type style. The problem you have with that, the problem I usually have with them at least, is when you have like a love for Belgian ales and you're drinking a lot of the Belgian ales, it's almost like other things. You just find the little things that pale in comparison. It's those little things that kind of throw you off. But I think that was a nice representation of the style. But again, if you're out there and you put it next to, one of the Chimay, like the Chimay Blue or something like that, or even a regular Chimay, it's kind of like, it's good, and in a blind test, it'd be kind of interesting to see what you pull out there. But I think you get more of that sweetness out of the Belgian ones, and this one, and you have a little bit more of that coriander kind of stays with you in that flavor a little bit longer.
And that one's one of those. I think it's very good. I like it a lot. It's kind of for the price point for what you're getting at, like a 9.5% alcohol, whatever it is. You can't really beat it really for a Belgian style type beer.
Yeah, it's decent enough for sure. I mean, I'm
curious what you got on that one.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. Like the Golden Monkey is like one of the beers. Like I'll get that sometimes. There's one of the Indian restaurants we go to, and they serve Golden Monkey there, so it's kind of like perfect for the Indian food to match up with. So I'll drink that. And actually, the Hot Devil, although I'm not a huge fan with it, when I'm like at the Indian restaurant, it's actually not bad with Indian food as well. It kind of works well with that,
with the spiciness.
Palate.
Also, like with like a curry or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think of for the monkey, for the Golden Monkey?
I mean, just personal preference. I'm not a huge Belgian style triple fan. Like I don't. Okay. They're not bad. Like when it comes to Belgian style beers, for me, I'm all about the darker variety. So your quads and your Belgian strong darks and your doubles and things. So when it comes to like Belgian style IPAs and triples, I thought Golden Monkey was good. I do regret never picking up a White Monkey because I think the wine barrels with that beer would be very interesting. I don't know if I'd like it, but I thought it'd be cool. And it showed up once. I didn't pull the trigger, and then it was gone next time I saw it. So if I ever see White Monkey, I will pick that beer up because I think it would play well on the base style. I think kind of like Rod saying, I think it's a good triple, but it doesn't compare to the true Belgian style or the Belgian triples. Not Belgian style, but the true Belgian triples. And I think that actually holds true for a lot of American breweries, unfortunately.
I would agree with that.
Speaking of upcoming reviews, I do have a White Monkey in the cellar, so and another Storm King, so I have to do reviews on those at some point.
I'm looking forward to that, and clearly so is Todd, because we want to hear all about the monkeys. We got a couple. I mean, that's funny that they have the Golden Monkey, the White Monkey. They have a sour monkey. It's like I don't know what else they're come on. They like the mess with color, like colors, like they white, and they have a Red Thunder, which Paul referenced. So,
but if they know they're marketing, they better not do a black one.
Well, I don't know. Is that going to be like Belgian strong dark? I don't know. Hopefully the labeling isn't anything poor.
I'm just saying. That's all.
It's the Vivian and Victory beer as we know it.
Yeah. That'd be not a great idea, Victory. Don't use that. Tim mentioned, like I said, he said Victory is good, and he said Rod, good review. I hate that beer. I think he was talking about the Hop Devil. If you want to clarify, Tim, but I'm pretty sure he was saying that as you were kind of ripping it apart a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fan of the Hop Devil, so yeah.
He said, "What is it with 20-year beers? It don't matter when it's made." No, I mean, I get that, Tim. But what I'm saying is, like, it's an older recipe. So with a lot of people who drink the newer IPAs, like the New England style with all the crazy hop variants, it's hard to compare a beer that was brewed 20 years ago that used like Cascade and Centennial hops to something that's using Mosaic and Citra. Completely different palate. And a lot of people will reference that, be like, oh, this isn't good anymore. Well, it has a completely different profile. It doesn't mean it's good. It's just not the same as what it is to a lot of these beers now. But I mean, that's what you kind of expect. Like back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, Hop Devil was basically just like it killed your palate. A lot of people, it was like super hoppy to people. Like they didn't understand what was happening. And, you know, a lot of those beers kind of over time become less popular because there's new hop varieties and new ways to brew beer and all kinds of, you know, like the dry hopping and all that stuff. So they kind of get lost in the shuffle. But Hop Devil in its heyday was a great beer for people who loved hop forward beer and IPA. So, I mean, I still give it props. I haven't had one in a while. Probably should revisit it, but I think it was a good beer. PA from Paul from PA Brewing is a friend of ours. He says, Oak Horizontal and Java Cast. Yeah. So Paul, just I don't know if you missed it, but I am drinking the Java Cast from 2015 that you gave me, buddy. So thank you very much, good sir. It's amazing. It's fucking fantastic. Tim goes, they say when you make it is at its finest. Well, yeah, when it comes to IPAs, I'm sure. I mean, for sure. Paul says he still misses Hop Wallop, which is a retired brand.
That was a good beer. I had that one.
Yep. And he also says Red Thunder was delicious, which Red Thunder was their Baltic Thunder, their Baltic Porter that was aged in red wine barrels. And again, that is another one I regret not picking up. I showed up locally. I remember for a month straight, I'd go into the beer store and I'd look at it. It was like, I was like $12 or whatever, but I'd like, you know, buy a mixed six pack, and I'd be like, dude, man, that'll be here when I come here next time. I kept on saying that, and then the time I wanted to buy it, guess what? Wasn't there anymore. And I haven't seen Red Thunder in years, so I think they still make it. Looking at Untapped, and I think they have a 2017 version of it, so I do still think they make it. So something that I need to try out. Paul also says I missed out on Dark Intrigue. So that is, so let me take that back. I don't know if that was the Oak Horizontal I brought up to Chad's. It was the Dark Intrigue. And their Dark Intrigue, I think, was their Storm King aged in bourbon barrels. That was the amazing beer. Not Oak. Well, Oak Horizontal was also awesome, but Dark Intrigue, they retired that beer and didn't make it again. That was an awesome beer. That was an amazing beer. So thank you, Paul, for bringing that up, because I think I didn't even put that on Untapped. Like, that's why it's not on my, like, there's a lot of beers I didn't Untapped over the last 5 years, and that's one of them. It was an awesome beer. So, he says he has a smoke. I have the Smoke and Fire, I think it was called, in the dungeon for Joe and I. Yeah, you buy a lot of beers for you and I. We're going to get to him at some point, make terrible YouTube videos. So to finish up on Victory, I guess we'll go with overall opinions and then a rating out of 5, because that's what we've been doing. So we'll start with Rod. Overall opinion on Victory, rating out of 5. Go.
For me, solid, decent enough. Not really one that would be disappointing, but again, it's not going to be something to knock my shoes off or anything like that. So my rating on them probably about a 3.75 overall. They get the job done. I mean, there's only been one or two that have been kind of borderline. Do I want to even drink this anymore? But overall, I mean, you do find some good beers from them, and they do step out of the box once in a while and bring up some good stuff, like you mentioned, with the Java Cask and the Oak or whatever and some of the other stuff. So, you know, they're decent. I'm glad to see they actually teamed up with Southern Tier, because they were looking like a buyout candidate. And rather than doing that, they got with another smaller brewery. I think there's a third brewery in that group too. They pulled their resources together to keep them going stronger for what they needed. So good move on their part.
Sweet. How about you, Todd?
Put them in about the 4.0 to 4.25 category, maybe. They're solid. I like them a lot. You know, probably more in the 4 range. What I have had from them has been pretty good. I think this has been like, you know, drink again. But and they don't do a lot of stuff out of the box. At least what I can get here anyway. The Java Cast is good. The Golden Monkey's good. I like the Hop Devil. I'm about right around the 4.
Nice. I'm going to just split the difference between you guys and go right. Like you said 4. So I'll go 4. I'll go 4 too. I feel for me, Victory makes better one-off seasonal special releases than they do their year-round. For me personally, their year-round beers are good, but they're nothing mind-blowing to me. They're just solid. Every day I can go drink a Hobdevil or a Kirsch Goza or whatever, and I'd be happy with it. But it's not blowing me away. But some of these, like the Java Cast and the Oak Horizontal, and even the Old Horizontal and the Dark Intrigue and the Cold Brew Coffee Cream Ale, like. That's what I enjoy, and I think they do them really well. So I'd say 4 out of 5. So, I mean, if you're to average, probably like a 3.87. I don't know, somewhere in that range, 3.9 overall, which is, it's a good rating overall. I mean, not that ratings really matter, right? But I think it's, kind of what I thought we would all rate them. I think they get the job done, as Rod says, and, there's nothing wrong with Victory. I wouldn't necessarily be upset if they pulled out of my area, but I wouldn't want that to happen. Like, they make enough beers that I would like to still try some of their newer stuff and some of their older standbys. But I put them kind of like, we haven't done. You said I could have swore we've done Southern Tier. I don't remember, but if we did, like, there's too many breweries we've done. But like, I kind of put them with their like Southern Tier for me. They're kind of like Southern Tier, like where Southern Tier's regular everyday beers. I don't like whatever. They're okay, but they're nothing crazy to go overboard with. But like their special releases, that's where I kind of, which is good that Victory and Southern Tier kind of got together, because I kind of feel they have the same vision. So overall, Victory, damn solid brewery. If you get them in your area, I'd be curious to hear what you think about them. If you watch this all the way through and want to post comments for Rod after the fact, but yeah, they're gonna do a good job.
Yeah, it's like Paul gives them a 4 out of 5 too.
Yeah, Paul says 4 out of 5.
Yeah, and one thing to mention, with them is the price point too. Like you said earlier, price point is pretty good.
And that says something nowadays where there is competition for your dollar. So like we talked about when we did the Lagunitas show, I think Lagunitas makes amazing beer, great beer, but like their price point makes them even that much better. And I think with Victory, if Victory was like kind of similar with like all of the rest of the craft breweries, where like, you might be paying $12 a 6-pack and, $11 a 4-pack, you might have a little bit of an issue paying that, but like they're not. They're priced reasonably well. And like if you go to a grocery store in your area that does like the mixed sixes, you'll always see 3 or 4 Victory beers in there too as well. So they have good price points in addition to making solid beer, which I think gives them the edge over some similar breweries.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, that's it for Victory, guys. That's it.
Any other comments out there?
Yeah, like I said, Paul said 4 out of 5 in this. Saison du Buff can just go away horrible, and that was the collab they did with Stone, and who was the other brewery? Was it Three Floyds?
I'll read his next comment.
And then he said that was forced PC comment or PG comment. Yeah. Who the hell was Saison du Buff with? Or maybe it was Stone?
Saison du Buff might have been Dogfish Head or something.
Oh, it's Dogfish Head, yes. So you're right. It was Dogfish Head, Stone, and Victory. That was the 3.
Okay.
Tim's Brews says he just did Allagash Kiro. What do y'all think? That is, I think, the barrel-aged... the hell was it? It's a barrel-aged something. A barrel-aged like Imperial wheat beer or something like that. Let me go see and look for sure.
I haven't seen that one before.
It's a barrel-aged it was a barrel-aged triple, so Belgian style. I have not. I mean, we get Allagash on here, and it's on shelves. I've seen that beer numerous times. It's always like $18.99, $19.99 for $7.50. I just never pulled the trigger on it. I like Allagash beer, but it's just the price point.
I usually get like some of the beer festivals like next week, and it's pretty good every time I've had it.
Yeah, it's still one I want to try, but it's one of those beers that, again, we're talking about like packaging. I wish more of these barrel-aged big 10+% beers came in 12-ounce bottles, 12-ounce cans, whatever. It's tough. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed this Java Cast. I'm definitely getting drunk, and I like it, but I much prefer this in the packaging that Todd has at a 12-ounce bottle. It just it makes it easier to, you don't always want to drink 25.4 ounces or 22 ounces of like a 12%, and in this case, a 14.3% beer. That's kind of where it feels with Allagash Hero. Like, there's so many beers that I want to try. I don't want to drink 25 ounces of a single beer, just for me.
I agree. It should go away with a lot of the bomber style beers.
And they're a ripoff. Yeah, they're a ripoff too.
Like, we're going to do a bottle share or something, but you still take like 2 bottles of 12, two 12-ounce bottles to share.
It was funny.
Same thing.
The meeting I was at, they came up because we were talking about how to rebottle some of the beers when they come out the brewery. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys asked, is a bottle of 12, you guys 22s, whatever. It's like, yeah, it's going to be 12 because we don't see a lot of people that can probably do a 22 that's like 10 or 11% alcohol. I was like, this guy can. My buddy, but his buddy's there with me. He's like, I'm right there too. So they're like, well, maybe we'll think about it down the line. But
it's not a question of whether you can. No, it's just whether you want to or not.
No, I just did. I just did. But my preference would be I'd rather have 12 ounces of this and crack open another 12-ounce beer. And I think you talked about it earlier, Todd, specifically about people like Rod and myself and you who like trying different beers. Yeah. It makes it much easier to try different beers when you don't have to drink 22 to 25 ounces of a singular beer. And a lot of times when you drink these big beers, if they're bad, I like, number one, it's expensive, so you don't want to drain pour it.
Yeah.
But then you also don't want to drink it either. So again, like you said, if you have a 12-ounce can of it or a 12-ounce bottle, just buy 2 of them. And more often than not, those 2 12-ounce bottles are going to be cheaper than buying a 22-ounce or a 750. Exactly. And you can decide if you want to open that second one or not. So,
it's like backwoods bastard. So I got 4 12-ounces rather than a bomber. So, yeah.
No. And that's where the breweries get the consumers. They, they make you believe that because it's in a bomber, it's a specialty beer, whatnot, or it's better than everything else. So they charge a higher price for it.
Yep.
In the case, but.
And my example of that, Todd, it will always be going forward. It doesn't, maybe not hold true anymore, but it's the Stone and Joy Buy. We used to buy bombers for $6.99 to $8.99, depending on where you were. You'd have to buy 3 of those bombers to equal 1 6-pack of the Enjoy Buy. And the 6-packs of Enjoy Buy sold anywhere from $12 to $15 in most areas. To buy at the lowest end cost of Stone and Joy Buy bombers, you're talking $21 for 3 bombers. And a lot of places you're talking $28, $29. Whereas the 4-pack or the 6-pack was $15, and a lot of people can't compute the difference. But it's almost like $5 to $10 cheaper to buy in small.
Yeah.
They're just ripping you off with bombers and 750s. Like, don't get me wrong, having a 750 of this and having a cork and cage, it aesthetically pleasing. It looks nice. It looks fancy. It makes you be like, oh, this is a specialty beer. But at the end of the day, all you should care about is what's inside the vessel you're drinking, and not so much about the and a lot of people don't. They're like, oh, this looks cool. I'll pay an extra $5, even though Founders KBS this year came out. 4-packs were like $22.99. And then they would have the 750 next to it for $19.99. I'm like, for $3 more, you can get 2 extra 12-ounce bottles. What are you doing with your life?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Do the math. Just do the math.
Yeah. Little math. You don't have to go crazy. But yeah.
I'd assume that the bomber is something greater that you're getting. Instead, it almost feels like it's a specialty beer because they're putting it in a 22-ounce bottle. Yeah. And it's not necessarily always the case.
And that's why cans got a negative connotation attached to them too, because people thought cans were cheap and the lining shit and you're gonna get tinny flavors and stuff. It's like, no, dude, the technology is amazing now. It's like cans are the way to go, cheaper to ship, easier to bring along with you wherever, and it's just like it's better for the environment, better for everything, really. But at the same time, I will say this: as much as I enjoy all these crazy beers and cans, something about cracking open a bottle. There's just something about it still. I still enjoy that aspect of just cracking the crown and pouring it. But at the same time, does that matter? No, I'd still rather have fresher beer. Don't have to worry about light hitting it or anything. I'd rather still have it in a can, all things considered.
All things being equal?
All things being equal. The last comments we have is Paul saying Victory had a restructuring a while ago where the packaging changed and the price point dropped severely. And then he said Stone Dogfish, which was what we talked about, and I couldn't figure out Dogfish, and then you mentioned it. Java Cask, he calls it a session beer. That is a Paul session beer, apparently. At 4 people. Tim says $17 a bottle for the Allagash Hero. Paul says $22 here for it. And Tim says he didn't like it. And see, that's the thing, Tim. Like if you bought that in a 12-ounce bottle and it was $7-8, I think you'd feel better about yourself, right? Like you'd be like, okay, I spent $7-8 on it. I didn't spend $17. I didn't like it, but that's the problem with 750s and 22-ounce bottles is you got to drink so much. I mean, you don't like that beer, you're wasting money. You could just take dollar bills, fives, and just light it on fire because that's basically what you're doing. And I think brewers are starting to kind of get that. Like, well, we should put it in small, except for Founders. Founders thought KBS or CBS everyone's going to love. So put Founders, CBS, and 750s in the United States of America. Everywhere else is put them in 12-ounce bottles. Thank you, Founders. And then Paul says, it sounds like a trend is forming here, Tim. Yeah. I don't know what trend that is. Is that just paying a lot of money for 750s? But yeah, that's all for comments. I'm sure we're gonna hop off here soon. So big thanks to Craig from Kent Beer Reviews, Tim from Tim's Brews, Greg who posted one comment and then fled about the Pray for Joe and about shaving everywhere. So shout out to Greg, aka Bylog. Drunken One who showed up here and then went over to the Albino Rhino chat because he's a traitor. I'm just kidding, Drunken One. Bum from Jody's.
Damn you, Drunken One.
Bum from Jody's show. Always nice to have him here. Craig from Chris from On the 10th showed up. He's actually in Atlantic City with his brother and a friend.
Yeah, I told him down there 2 blocks away. There's the hookers.
Yeah, he said, thanks for the hookers, Rob. We appreciate it. Oh, Peter the Clueless. How did I miss this? The Clueless Drinker showed up too. Peter, he said, hi, Peter. I'm going to have to send you a message.
There. All right.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. I you know what? I didn't see that afterwards. I saw that's on me, but whatever. What are you going to do? We'll get over it. Jamie from Basement Beer Reviews also mentioned something you're talking about. You said, Rod, why can't I get beer deals like you? Because ... I read that, and he bounced as well. And then Paul, obviously from PA Brews. Appreciate him stopping by as well. And wish you would have showed up earlier, Paul. You could have chatted a little bit with Victory because we know it's in your, not technically in your backyard, but it's in your state. I know you like Victory. So, yeah. Appreciate everybody stopping by. It's good times, good comments.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess we'll go ahead and get it shut down. We started a little bit later, I was kind of a short, so we had to finish it around the same time. We just started later. But
yeah.
Covered a lot of good stuff, and got to figure out what we're going to do next week for what brewery we'll take a look at. So,
Ballast Point? Anyone? Ballast Point?
You keep pushing BP out of us.
I don't even like Ballast Point. I do like Ballast Point, but I like
it. Since we thought we did it already.
Which one? Southern Tier?
I'm sure let me see.
Yeah, I'm on a scale of 1 to Southern Tier, I'm pretty sure we did it. Like, I don't know if that's a right scale.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we did.
I'm gonna go back and check to see. I don't think it's Southern Tier. I think you're still confused with Sierra Nevada. Yeah,
pretty sure we did Southern Tier.
I got 50 at this point. I don't know if we did or not. I'm not 100% sure. Might have, but then part of me thinks that we didn't. So I don't really.
I'd be more confident if I wasn't drinking, right? So yeah.
I'd be more confident if I just knew, and I don't.
So
I need a Java cask.
maybe we didn't though. Like I don't know.
I recall doing it, but I don't think we did.
Probably not.
Be here.
Probably not.
Oh, you dirty dog, Ric Flair. Yeah, we did it. We did it back in episode 10. Episode 10 was Southern Tier. Episode 11 was Sierra Nevada. So, yeah, we did cover that.
See, I knew we did. I fucking knew it. I knew it.
You didn't sound really confident in it, though.
No, I didn't. I had it. I had a because
I was selling it off very good.
You're having flashbacks like, did we do it? Maybe
no, like I kept on flashing back to like pumpkin. I could have swore someone drank a pumpkin on there, but maybe they didn't, or a Warlock or something. Like I had
to run. Yeah, you're right. I had the rum barrel.
Yeah, you had the rum barrel. I knew somebody drank a fucking pumpkin somewhere out of one of these shows.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, I forgot.
Just to recap, we did Bell's, we did Stone, we did New Holland, Dogfish Head, Southern Tier, Sierra Nevada, Avery, Great Lakes, Lagunitas, Boston Beer, and now we've done Victory.
You know who I didn't hear in there? Ballast Point. No, I also didn't hear Founders.
There we go.
We could do Ballast Point. I mean,
I don't care if we do. I mean, if you guys
I
want
think
to.
you do care if we do.
No, I just want to shit all over the house.
I kind of think you do.
I just want to rage against them because they sold out to Constellation. I don't buy their stuff anymore, and I hate them. No, I don't.
Excuse me.
Well, what else is there? I mean, there's Ballast like Ballast. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Ballast Point.
We haven't done Founders, right?
We haven't
Flying
done
Dog Founders.
Yeah, Flying Dog Founders, Ballast Point. Do you guys get like you could do some of the like Harpoon? You guys get a Harpoon stuff?
Harpoon.
I'm just thinking of like bigger. I know you guys get Terrapin. I don't. Heavy Seas.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out if people watch like what the hell. It's like we're trying to get the ones that actually we have best thing to around.
Oh, Deschutes we talked about as well. Deschutes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Rogue at some point, so we can shit on them. I mean, so we can try them and see how
Rogue
we feel
is
about them.
easy.
Yeah. There's still a lot. Like there's so many we're forgetting. North Coast, we could do at some point. Green Flash before they're not available anymore.
Oh, we did find out they did announce the new state for Yingling.
Oh, we can do Yingling. They're technically a craft
for Yingling now.
Oh, is it? Watch out. Get your Yingling now.
That's a bit of quickie beer news. I'm just wasting stuff now.
Paul posted some more PA. Like, here's the thing, Paul, about PA beer breweries. We've done one now, so we're done for about 7 months.
Yeah.
No, he said Trogs, Weyerbacher, and Voodoo. I get all of those, but I'm pretty sure no one else will get especially Voodoo.
There's also Vita.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't be held responsible.
This is tempting. It's tempting.
Yeah. No, I totally get some Vita. Totally get it, guys. He said, how about you guys get Stillwater artisanal ales? You guys get their stuff?
Eric doesn't, because I sent him that bunny one.
For fuck's sake.
I do.
How about Prairie? Anyone you guys get Prairie? They're Shelton Brothers.
We get some Prairie.
We could do Prairie. I'm pretty sure Eric gets it too, even though he says he doesn't. He does because Shelton Brothers is the one that distributes them, and pretty sure they're in Michigan. And your guys, I know they're in Todd's area. I know he gets Prairie.
Yeah.
There's so many. That's good because we do a lot of shows, so there's a lot of breweries we'll be able to.
We would do Founders though either. We could do Founders.
I said dude. I have so many beers from Founders in my cellar that I won't drink that I will drink if we do it. But yeah, Founders is not a good one. Yeah, I mean, whatever.
Floyd's, Joe, do you get 3 Floyds at all?
No, I don't. But I do have a zombie.
You got the Alpha Claws now.
Yeah, I drank one. I drank the one from Todd with a couple buddies. The other one I'm going to keep and maybe age a little bit because I didn't realize it was like a hop forward porter, but it totally was. So I'm going to let the second one age out a little bit. But I do have a zombie dust I could crack open next week, you guys. But I know Eric does.
A couple zombie dust in that box too, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of stuff to be drank.
Yeah, so when I went at work to pick up some of these other beers, not the Victory, but some of the other ones.
Anchor, by the way, we could do as well.
New place by our house or new place by our office, and they had 2 6-packs of zombie dust in there. And the guy I brought back with me, he's like, "Do you want any zombie dust?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "Okay," and he just bought both 6-packs. Like, I don't get to see this all the time.
You motherfuckers.
All right, spoiler alert. I did put one bottle in your box, so
boy.
Put one in there anyway.
You're twisting his arm. You got to drink all that zombie dust.
Yeah.
Paul says he still needs to try zombie dust. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, Paul doesn't get zombie dust there.
He also says, "I can't join you. Also, drink piss for all I care." And then he says, "Rolling Rock." Bum says, "Iron City." Then Bum says, "Straub and Stonies." Says, "I actually like Straubs." Yeah, I know you actually their craft lineup. I know you dig, which is that's on you. Now there's like I said, there's 20, 30, 40 different breweries that we're just forgetting. Like Magic Hat, we all get. Like you could do that at some point, you know. I mean, there's a lot of breweries. I'm down with whatever. You want to do Founders, you want to do Ballast Point, you want to do whatever. I mean, Ballast Point, I need to pick something up though, so that needs to be decided upon.
Yeah, and I didn't pick up Ballast Point or Founders. I mean, everything I got pretty much here, except for a few extra things are one-off. So anything I need, I pretty much for the show I have to go pick up at some point.
Well, we'll think about it and we'll let the masses know at some point in the next couple of days by the weekend.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
That works. With that all being said, anybody got any closing comments?
Nope.
Anybody want to yell at the people for Eric? Don't drink and drive out there. You're just going to do a stupid sobriety test.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure Eric's PSA is don't drink and drive. If you do, he's going to come to your house and powerbomb you through 3 separate tables. Also, most of the onus is on you, so don't do it. You're just going to upset your family and friends, and you possibly kill people, including yourself. So don't do it. Don't be a dummy. Just don't. Just don't. Don't.
Just don't do it.
Don't do it.
You're 6 feet under.
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
As somebody always says, that would be on you. That would be on you. So let's not make that on you.
But thanks for everybody watching, and look forward to catching you guys next week. Don't forget this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be doing a special broadcast with Cold Brew out of Arizona.
11 a.m., baby.
11 a.m. Eastern. A little too early for him to drink. But
I love it. I just love it. Especially they're going to be at like 9 a.m.
We got to get it in. And at some point, I've got contacted that another reviewer wants me to do a thing on his show. He's out of Sweden. So look out for that upcoming too. And we're trying to coordinate times. He's like 9 hours, I think, ahead of us. So I have no idea how we're going to coordinate that. But we'll get it done on the weekend probably.
Bum has a final comment. And he's bringing Joe D's macro nonsense into here. And he says, dilly dilly. Mother effers.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're out. We'll catch you next time. Keep drinking those good craft beers. And remember, there's always time. Get your beer on. Cheers.